have to surrender to, okay, the timeline isn't what I thought it was. That doesn't mean it's not going to happen, right? Don't let go of the
Yes.
dream, let go of the timeline.
Like we get
Yeah.
to define what success actually means to
My
us.
message in general in everything I do is hope of that dream, and to not give up and to believe that those things you desire are possible.
That what you want is meant for you.
It's going to happen. It's still going to happen. And you have to hold on to that vision, because it's a roller coaster. The entrepreneur roller coaster is real.
Stay delusional. Like it's waiting for you. Like that dream's not out of reach. Just keep holding out that hope.
Even if you don't know the how, don't let go of the vision,
you
right?
look at the past versions of yourself, like who you are now is a dream. Is a dream version of you.
Again, is looking back at where you were compared to where you are now, and you're like, whoa, look at all that progress. Look how amazing I am. And that's how you stay in gratitude for where you're at. That's how you stay in confidence, in belief, instead of discouragement.
Those
right?
dreams are waiting for you.
Yeah.
But you can't truly live if you're not in this moment, appreciating the individual facets of who you are.
What is this the season for?
The more that we can just be fully present in whatever we're doing, the more that we really live our lives and can just more fully appreciate the things we're doing now.
Get ready to love everything I am. All I want to be and understand. 'Cause I won't dim my light for no one.
They told me I had to pick one thing. No. Diamonds are multifaceted, and so are we. It's about time we let all the parts of us shine. How can we climb out of the box and fully embrace our own authenticity? I'm Kara Lee, and it's time for the Multi-Passionate Mama podcast, where clarity and creativity go hand in hand. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Multi-Passionate Mama podcast. I am so excited today to share with you this episode. We're going to talk about the seasons of your dreams, about how you can be multi-passionate and somehow find a way to still do all the things that you love so much in this life. So our guest today is Sarah Fui. She's a licensed trauma therapist who has transitioned into being a life coach. She currently helps multi-passionate women to gain clarity and overcome self-sabotage so that they can step into their calling. Aside from being a homeschooling mama of 5 children, she's also a singer-songwriter, a keynote speaker, and the host of the Renaissance Achiever podcast. I'm so excited for you to hear from her. She is such an inspiration. Welcome, Sarah. Hi, Sarah. I'm so excited to talk to you today. You are such an amazing human, and I know you have an amazing story. I'm excited.
I feel the same way about you, and I feel like our paths were divinely intersected, and it's just been really cool to get to know you over the different programs we've done together. I love it.
Oh, I totally agree. So I'm going to start with this very fascinating opening question, and that is, what lit you up when you were a child? Like, what did you want to be when you grew up?
So many things. I think I was always multi-passionate. So I remember I really enjoyed teaching, and I would like line up the stuffed animals and my younger sister and like do school all the time. I always wanted to teach. I loved singing and making up songs. I remember I have this early memory of jumping on my bed and holding my piggy bank and singing a song about my piggy bank, and my older brother coming in and yelling at me to shut up because he was trying to watch TV. But I loved singing and writing songs. From the time I was like in third grade, I had a notebook where I was writing lyrics of songs I was making up. I also really wanted to be an assassin. Or like a secret agent spy, because I watched some of those movies in the 90s of like sneakers or like spies and assassins, and I thought it would be really cool, but I didn't really understand what that entailed at the
And they
time.
had the coolest outfits and the coolest background music, and they had like the mystery,
Yeah,
the
I liked the
suspense.
mystery and like, the wit and the problem solving and all of that. What else did I really enjoy doing? Um, those are the ones that stand out to me. I was really into astronomy and I liked to read astronomy books for pleasure reading, like as young as second grade. And I always thought the universe was really interesting. So those are some of the things that fascinated me as a kid. Yeah.
Awesome. So my question from that then is, how did that lead you on your path and inform like what you ended up doing and where you're at today?
That's a good question. And I think about the teaching. And I'm a life coach and I'm running some group coaching programs right now. And in those programs, and I do free workshops from time to time, but I always have like a PowerPoint presentation and I'm teaching on a topic and I'm sharing these concepts and I'm speaking and telling these stories about it and helping people to understand themselves better and understand these things about life. And so I really am teaching right now. And that is what really lights me up in this current season of life. Like I do a lot of one-on-one coaching. I've done one-on-one psychotherapy for years, and the group coaching is kind of new to me this year, and it's so fun. I'm like, "Ooh, I love this dynamic of teaching a new concept to a group and then having that discussion with them." So that teaching part has come in. Oh, and I'm a homeschool
Yeah,
teacher. I'm
so
a
you're a
homeschooling
mom
mom, so
and
I'm teaching my kids at home. I didn't even think of that. So yes, I am a
well,
teacher.
let's talk about the balance of like being an entrepreneur and having your own business, which I mean, I guess we could dive into the whole. I know that you transitioned from doing the psychoanalysis work, sort of
Psychotherapy, mental health
psychotherapy.
therapy.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, what is the word
Yeah.
you use? But you doing that work for other people and then transitioning into your own business, which was its own kind of journey.
Oh
But
yeah.
balancing both of those kind of careers with motherhood is a whole topic.
You know, I really chose entrepreneurship because I think it fits motherhood better.
Mm.
Where in the early years of my oldest children, I was working the 9 to 5. And as a social worker, I had some hard jobs that were demanding, and it was more than a 9 to 5, or where I was on call 24/7 for crisis calls with the foster kids I worked with and things like that. So it was really consuming. I remember being pregnant and having to wake up at 6:30 in the morning every day to go work at the hospital doing hospital social work. And it was just like having to clock in by a certain time. And I just hated not having autonomy over my schedule. And so entrepreneurship is a way for me to create time freedom, create my schedule, to have flexibility and to be home. I work from home and that's what I love. So like in between client sessions, I'm going to the kitchen, I'm making dinner, I'm like checking on my kids, giving them a hug, whatever. It's like, I'm not gone for 9 hours at a time. And I think, people think it's hard to balance entrepreneurship. I think it's harder to balance a 9 to 5 with motherhood when you don't have that freedom, right?
Yeah, and it probably makes it possible then to homeschool your kids because you are an entrepreneur.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
How's the homeschooling journey going?
It's in constant flux. So anyone who homeschools knows that you are constantly readjusting your approach from year to year of what's working, what's not working, where you fell off track and you're trying to get back on track, the different needs for the different kids at different ages and seasons
Mhm.
of your life. So actually, my oldest, this is her first year in public school. And then my four youngest are home. And I have to say, her being in school is making me busier and more stressed than than homeschooling because I had to
Fascinating.
download like 5 apps for communication with
Right.
school. I have to sign these forms. It's more expensive. I have to buy like a uniform for her choir, buy a yearbook, pay school lunch, and I'm like, what? Why is public school more consuming, busier? And they have all these parent meetings, and I'm like,
Ah,
I don't want to come to your parent meeting. Like, you teach my kid. Like, why are you trying to tell me all this? So it's just like
that's
really
so
consuming.
interesting.
When people are like, how could you? And I think for me, having ADHD, it's like it's scattering my thoughts with all of these things I have to keep track of, which feels overwhelming. But with homeschooling, it's like we do our lessons and we chill out. We sleep in, do our lessons, we chill out. We don't have to worry about all of these different things. And when you have kids in multiple schools, I can only imagine. So So for me, I'm like, homeschooling is so much easier. The hard
Yeah.
part is not catching a break, but it does feel a lot less overwhelming. Yeah.
I love that perspective because I had never thought about that because I have three at three different schools and I spend
Yeah.
all summer going, I can't wait for school to get back in. It's going to be so much easier. I can't wait to have some space to myself. And then school gets back in, and I'm like, why is this so overwhelming? There's so many meetings, there's so much paperwork, there's so many things I have to keep track of. And you're exactly right. Like, it is like somehow the public school system is really overwhelming.
It's so overwhelming, right? But I mean, it is nice to have quiet in your home every now and then.
Yeah.
So that's the balance, right? But I really love having my kids home, especially when they're young. And
Yeah.
I feel like I'm failing in this season of my homeschooling, but I think a lot of homeschooling moms feel that way a lot, where it's like, man, I need to be more present. I need to do a little bit more. But we're just getting out of summer and a crazy busy season of our life. So I'm giving myself grace that we're just trying to get back on track. And once we get in a routine and in a groove again, it's gonna feel a little better. Yeah.
Well, and I think the truth is that a lot of us feel like we're failing a lot of the time. And it's
Yeah.
really so much about shifting that perspective about like, I mean, I was just talking to my husband this morning and he was frustrated because our house was messy. And I was like, let's not forget that we live here and that it's we always have the opportunity to clean up, but it doesn't mean anything about who we are as people. Like having a
Mm,
messy house doesn't mean you're a bad person. And getting out of your routine and out of, a typical schedule doesn't mean anything about who you are. It doesn't really mean that you're failing, but we tend to put that judgment on ourselves
yeah.
and bring ourselves down with it when we don't need to.
Yeah. And pathologizing everything.
Yes.
I mean, I think as someone who is a therapist who has heard so many stories from so many people, it's like I'm constantly like, okay, so how am I screwing up my kids? Am I like causing permanent damage? And so I pathologize a lot of things, like, or like maybe turn them into a bigger deal than they really are. And it's like the kids are fine, you know.
Well, and the truth is that like our kids have to live a human existence. Like they
Yeah,
have to deal with real life, whether we like it or not. They're going to have to deal with trials and things going wrong and parents that mess up because we are human too.
we
They're going to
can't
have to
protect them
deal
from
with,
everything.
right. They're going to have to deal with life. We
Hmm.
can't save them from it, and we wouldn't want to. We want them to learn how to deal with the messiness of existence so that they
Totally.
can become stronger.
Well, I'm giving them a lot of experience in the mess of this. They're going to be real strong,
And resilient.
right?
Right. And then they'll be able to do maybe a better job than we did.
Yep.
Hopefully, because that's
The
the
hope,
goal.
right?
We can all do a little better.
Yeah.
I love your balance of doing, working and homeschooling your kids. What does that look like on a daily basis? Or do you have any advice for moms who are like, what is happening with my life?
So, on a daily basis, it's really different from day to day, depending on the amount of sleep we got, whether we have appointments to go to or things like that. I really try to keep meetings in the afternoon or later in the day or evening, and usually on my husband's days off of work. However, yeah, it's always different. So in the morning, though, like this morning, I the kids were having a rough morning and it was a little chaotic. And so I gathered them for breakfast and just read them a story from a magazine, like a moral story that teaches them a lesson as they ate breakfast. And then I was like, hey, we need to go for a walk because we need sunshine and exercise to shift our energy. And that
Love
helps
that.
to regulate kids when you have ADHD mom and ADHD kids, you need to like move your body more. So, and I have a toddler who is like super spastic right now, super spastic 1 year old, and going for walks chills him out. So we all went a walk around our neighborhood. It's like a loop trail that's 3/4 of a mile, so it's kind of perfect. It's like a track, and we walked around. And while we walk, they play this game called Shadowland, where you can only step in the shadows of the trees, and when there's sun and there's no shadows, then they have to walk in my shadow. So they have to follow me and try to step in the shadow. So they make it a game to make it interesting, so there's no whining. So that's like a trick of motherhood, is like they created this game themselves, but when there's whining and stuff, like just turn everything into a game and the kids enjoy going for a walk. So that was our morning, and we got back home, and now my husband is doing homeschool lessons with them while I'm here. And it's just different. It's different, but most days we're just we're just trying to survive life. And the
Well, you're
homeschool lesson,
adaptable, you're flexible.
I'm really flexible because the kids' needs are going to be different, our schedules are different. You know, I heard a concept recently that I want to share, and it's about routine and ritual. And so we're always talking about how we need routine, right? We need routine, and that's the masculine energy of like the to-do list, this, that structure. And that is so useful. Like they know we're going to do homeschool lessons. They know we're going to have family prayer, we're going to do homeschool lessons, whatever, right? But the ritual is the feminine side, and that's what makes things sacred. So we have the structure and we have the sacred, and that's listening to your intuition and going with the flow and not being so um, strict and inflexible that we're just fighting against the flow, right? So the ritual is like, how can we make this intuitively work for our needs today? And maybe we need to do one lesson instead of two lessons today because they're struggling to focus. Or maybe we need to go for a walk, or maybe we need to change up the routine, right, for interest. And so I love that concept. And I heard that from Kate Strong. She's an amazing coach as well. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
I
But
love that.
good concept, right? Like we've got to have the routine, but we've got to have the flexibility too.
Yeah, the routine doesn't work when you're fighting against nature, when you're fighting against yourself and you're like, no, I hate this.
Yeah,
Like it's not
yeah,
working for me
yeah.
right now. Routine is wonderful when it is intuitively informed.
Mhm.
It has to be, you know, in line with how you are doing today. It just has to be. So I wanted to ask you next how you take care of yourself in all this, how you remember to prioritize your own needs, but also your own dreams.
Ooh, that's a good one. I love talking about dreams. I do a lot of that with my clients. So taking care of myself, like this morning, for example, everybody wanted to be in my room. Sometimes they do that. They all want to come in my room, and they
Yep.
started playing, and I couldn't get them out to have alone time. So I just grabbed my scriptures, walked downstairs, and was like, I'm going to read quietly on the couch while they were being chaotic in my room. And I'm going to carve out, instead of being like, come on, guys, we got to start our routine. Like, let's go get breakfast. I was like, let me take some 10 minutes to myself, to have a little time to myself, and then we'll start our day. So just like being intentional about taking those pockets of alone time. The other part of the self-care is like I want to walk and move my body because I work from home, I homeschool, I order my groceries to my house, and I'm like I'm in my house all day, and I need to move my body as part of my mental, physical, spiritual self-care. So I said, "Okay, guys, we're all going to go on a walk together." And then sometimes I do it at night when they're in bed. I walk again and I talk on the phone to friends or family to keep in touch. So that walking a lot is a big part of it. Um, and just not feeling guilty about when I need to take time for myself and schedule things in. Um, it's really
Yeah.
the mindset that if I don't do this, I'm not gonna be as good of a mom. I'm not going to be as effective as an entrepreneur or a coach. I can't tell my clients to do all these things and I'm not doing them for myself, right?
Yeah. We show up as our best selves
Yeah.
when we've given ourselves what we need. And
Yep.
then it's like nobody wants, the seconds of us. Nobody wants the burnt out, bitter part of us. They want our best, our lit up, fully embraced, like loving life. Like they want us just after we have taken a nap and had a dance party and like eaten something, you
Right.
know?
Right.
That's the best version of ourselves. That's the version of ourselves we want to give our kids and our clients and our families and everybody. And I think a lot of us times we forget that
Yeah.
and we just keep running ourselves ragged.
Or we feel like it's selfish, but it's really serving everyone else when you're taking care of yourself because your relationships are going to be improved, right? Your work is going to be more efficient. Everything's going to be better.
And
Yeah.
it's really worth noting to like notice other people when they haven't been taking care of themselves and they're burnt out and they're, at the end of their rope and going, oh, they're treating me the way they're treating me, not because of anything I did, not because of, you know, not because of something, but because of them, because
Yeah.
they are needing something, because they need a sandwich, because they, they need a Snickers, like the commercial, right? Because they need something that they haven't given themselves yet. And my favorite quote is from Frozen: people make bad choices when they're mad or scared or stressed.
Totally. I don't even
And
know
it's
where
like,
that is in Frozen, but that
it's
is
in
so
the
true.
song, it's in the troll song. The trolls
Oh,
sing
the
it.
troll song.
People make bad choices if they're mad or scared or stressed.
Oh
And
my
it's like,
gosh, it's so true.
if we can help each other to notice that we need more self-care and help them notice that they need to give themselves more self-care, it helps everyone be better.
I think one of the biggest self-care items for me, and for anyone really, is having boundaries. And I know we hear about that all the time. But when I'm starting to get real irritable or I'm being mean to my kids, I'm like, hold up. It's because I'm not setting boundaries. So I'm getting overstimulated. I'm getting overwhelmed. I'm getting mad at them. But it's up to me to say, hey, I need a break, right? I need to, sorry, I can't lay down with you right now when you guys are playing around because I got other stuff I need to go do, right? And so, like, just setting that boundary instead of losing my crap on them. Like, your self care
Right.
is setting boundaries. Yeah.
It's reminding yourself that, wait a minute, I don't have control over them. I cannot force them to stop screaming at me. I can't force them to be different. I only have control over me. What can I do? One of the things I do is I've got earbuds and I will put on music. They'll be
Yes.
screaming at me and they'll be having their time doing whatever. Like, my son gets really mad when our neighbors don't answer their door to say hi to. And it's like, or grandpa didn't answer the Zoom call or whatever. And it's like, I can't control that. And he'll get so upset when he wanted to talk to someone and they were not available. And he'll just get really angry. And he'll just go on and on forever. And I change it. So I have to just deal with it. And it's like, I could get upset and I could yell. And sometimes I do. But I can also choose to use the tools that I have, which is like music. Music is my favorite tool.
Yes. The
But
perfect escape.
right, I'm like, I can put in headphones and I can still be in his presence while separating my mind from his yelling,
While
from his
dissociating a little bit.
bit. And it's like, after a few rounds of, I'm sorry, I can't fix this.
Yeah.
Like, we just have to deal with it.
Yeah, you
It's
just have to write it out. Yeah.
right. And
Love that.
we
And
have
music
tools.
is like the instant mood changer too, right? Like
It's
totally change your
so
energy.
powerful. It's so powerful. And I know you, so I know that you are also an incredible singer and a musician. And I'd love to talk about how music has changed your life and helps you ride out these things in motherhood. And because for me, I use music personally to help really transmute these emotions that come up. And frankly, motherhood brings up more emotions than anything else does in every part of life. Motherhood will bring out all the worst parts of you where you're like, I didn't realize I had so much to work on in
Yeah.
there. Entrepreneurship will do it too. Like, having your own business helps you grow in so many ways. But motherhood,
Yeah.
I mean, there are those tiny humans will push your buttons in ways that you're like, I didn't know those buttons existed.
Yes.
And music just helps you put those emotions into a form that just moves them through you, at least for me.
Yeah,
So I would love to hear about how you use music to help you through this
totally.
journey.
I have always used songwriting as a way of coping with emotions. Like if I have big emotions and I'm like, where is this coming from? I don't know how to get through them. I'll write a song. And then those emotions flow through me. And so um, I don't do that as often now. I think motherhood keeps me busy and entrepreneurship keeps me busy, where I wish I was writing more, but I do still use that as a tool for overwhelm and just like, I'm going to write a song and sometimes enjoy when I'm like, woo, I'm feeling this buzz, this great energy. I want to write a song, you know? And so it goes both ways that you use I use it to process emotions. And then I also recently discovered that loud singing, um, I don't know, it what's the word I'm looking for, but it relaxes like the vagus nerve or stimulates it or something so that it's calming. So it's a way of stimming for neurodivergence to like sing loud. And I was like, oh, that's what I've been doing my whole life. So so that itself, just singing helps. And then the music is an instant mood changer. Like sometimes when there's chaos, I'm like, Alexa, play a song. And then everybody's like, instead of being in discord, we're now suddenly in unison vibing to the same song. And it just changes the energy of the house, right? So, so many ways to use music. My favorite is driving in the car and just blasting music when I'm alone. Like, no kids. That's my favorite.
I love it. Do your kids agree with your musical choices, or do they tend to question?
Some they love pop more. I love all different kinds. They like some of my songs, but I like reggae and they don't love reggae. So I'm like, sorry kids, you're gonna have to listen to reggae. They love like Taylor Swift and pop and things like that. Bruno
Do they like it when
Mars.
you sing? Is my other question.
Um,
Which I ask because my kids
yes, I
scream when
think
I sing.
you know, for years when my kids were younger, they every time I tried to pick up a guitar and sing, my oldest daughter would just like freak out, like, no, give me all your attention. And so that was really hard. And I think that's where I kind of got out of the habit of playing and singing. Um, but I need to do it more with them. We do karaoke nights at home, and that's fun.
How
As far as like
awesome.
me singing on my guitar, I don't do it as much in front of them. I usually do it alone because it's less. They always want my attention if I'm there.
Yeah.
So it's hard to jam and vibe with them all in my face.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
totally understand that. We're
yeah,
in that phase of like I sing and my kids start screaming, but that might be
yeah.
because I often am like making up songs about like putting your shoes away and buckling your seatbelt and it's like that. And I actually wrote a full-on song at the beginning of the summer called "When Is School Back In?" And it's got like trumpets and it's
I
like a
love it.
doo-wop like big band like it's hilarious and
I love
awesome.
it.
I tried to get them to sing on it and they didn't want to because there's a line that says like don't look under the bed, like I cleaned my room but don't look under the bed. I wanted them to like to
To sing
yell
that
that
line.
to sing that line and they wouldn't do it. So that was a bummer.
Aw. I can't wait to hear this song. Are you gonna release
I'll
it?
have
Did
to
you
send it
already
to you
release
because
it?
it's really fun. It's done. I actually need to redo the vocals, but it was a lot of fun to put that sentiment into just like a fun, bouncy
Yes.
song.
So I know that you produce, right? Do
Mhm.
you produce and arrange your own songs? Do you
I do.
hire musicians or do you use
I
software?
I have a friend who does my instruments for me, and it's amazing because I initially began just as like I can write my melody and my lyrics, and I have no idea what else to do. And then I learned how to produce, and I have written like I don't know MIDI instruments, but it's not very
Right.
good.
Right. And so
He's way
you have
better with
them,
his live trumpets, with
you
his live
produce it
horns.
first and then he replaces it with the live instruments.
No,
Like
he'll just write his
he'll just
instrumentation, and
make
it
it.
blows me
Okay,
away every
cool.
time.
That's
And then
fun.
I'm like, what's happening? This is like
Yeah.
dreams
It's a
coming true here.
collaboration, right? Where someone
Yes.
else's energy comes in and just like makes the song something totally
Yes,
new.
it's
I love it.
incredible. How does yours work? Because you play guitar.
I have done different versions. So I write my song, majority of all my songs just written on guitar, where I just make up some chords and sing. A couple of times I've been in the car just listening to another song and then I start freestyling a hook over it.
I
And
love
I'm
it.
like, oh, okay, I'm gonna write to this chord progression because I have a song now. But in the past, I had a band many years ago. It's been 9 years since I
Yeah.
played with them, but we used to gig around Salt Lake, and it was a nine-piece band with like a horn section and backup singers. And so
Oh,
these guys were really cool, like really talented musicians. I don't. I don't really understand music theory very well. It's just like me and my basic chords on the guitar, and then they would like come in and just make up their parts, and it sounded great.
Isn't that like a
Um,
dream though? To like stand
it
there
is.
and let just like sing it and then have it all filled out and then you're
Yes.
like, this
So
is the
cool. It's
thing.
so fun. It's so fun. And so I haven't had a band, but I've been recording songs. Like I put out a couple singles recently, and so I have just worked with producers for that where I give them my song, my chords, and they just build it themselves. One of them mostly did MIDI type stuff, and he just did bass live, I think, and everything else was MIDI. And then the other guy, he did all the instruments live, and so it had a more raw sound, which was fun. Um, so I'm just trying different styles. I recently bought a couple beats in reggae. It's called rhythms from a
Oh,
producer where I'm just gonna write over what he already has. Which is fun because it's a whole vibe that I wouldn't have come up with on an acoustic guitar. When you're listening to an already produced track, what you write is going to come out totally different, right? So
yeah.
it's kind of fun to step into that type of writing. Yeah.
Well, and it's so much fun. Your music's amazing. I love your voice. You're an incredible performer. And I want to mention, to everybody that the way that we met was through a mastermind for singers who want to speak. And so I want to hear how that's going because I know you got to speak and sing at an event.
Yes, it was very brief, and that
Oh,
was my
super brief.
first one. So I loved this concept. Okay, so I will tell the story of this. Years ago, I was sitting on my couch playing my guitar, and I was like, what if I could speak in front of a crowd and do like, inspirational speaking and then like mix it in with some of my songs that I wrote and have it, be like that. That would be really cool. Like speak, sing, speak, sing. I was like, yeah, I want to do that. And so I had like this was like 3 years ago. I had started to like reach out to people and be like, hey, I didn't know what to call it. I was like, didn't know how to pitch it. I was new in entrepreneurship, and I was like, it was kind of messy. But I reached out to several different people in different avenues, looking for opportunity of like, I want to share this message. How can I get on a stage? And I got rejected by everyone, probably because I just didn't know how to to pitch
Pitch
it
it.
at the
Yeah.
time.
Well, and the pitching's got to be like the hardest part.
Yeah, and I was just like, they're probably like, they probably didn't understand what I really wanted to do. Anyways, but it didn't deter me. I was like, I know I'm called to do this thing. And then I went to the CD Baby indie musician conference a
Mm.
couple years ago, and I saw Tiamo present, and Tiamo was our mastermind coach on keynote concerts. And I was like, oh, that's what it's called. It's called a keynote concert. You're giving a keynote, but you're singing
Right.
in between. And I was like,
Uh,
this is what I was trying to do. And so,
right. And the
um,
moment that I heard that concept, I was like, oh, oh,
oh,
oh, oh.
yes,
Okay.
yes,
That's
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 me.
okay.
That is our niche, right? Like that's what brought it. So that was really
Oh,
cool just to be aware of that.
sweet.
Yeah. So I loved it. Going through his program, it was a rough year for us. I had a baby and we were struggling financially, and I didn't, I was just feeling really discouraged that I wasn't getting further along in the speaking gigs. And I had, I remember I'd reached out to you because I was like, I'm struggling. I just feel so discouraged. This whole year went by, and like the things I had planned out for it didn't quite turn out. But also it's like I was in postpartum. Like what do you expect, right? We need to have
Yeah.
some grace on ourselves when like we just had a baby or going through fifth baby, and we're going through the emotional roller
Right.
coaster. Like why do we set such high expectations for ourselves?
And life
But
tends to not go the way that we plan.
in
Life tends to
general.
take us on detours, and we tend to, what is it they say? You can do a whole lot more than you think you can, but it's not in a day or something like there's an expression that's like you can do a lot more in your life, but a lot less in a day.
Yeah.
There's like a really good
I
quote
love
on
that.
that.
I love that. I've never heard that. You can do
There's a
not more
there's a
in one life, but a lot
better
less.
worded quote than
Yes.
what I said. We underestimate how much we can do
In our
in our
lifetime,
lifetime, but we overestimate
overestimate.
how much we can do in a day. Something like that.
Yeah,
That's
that makes
that quote.
sense. That is so true. That is so true.
Yeah.
Yeah. just because
Especially
of my
when we
to-do
have
list.
like, we don't ever tend to think that we need recovery time.
Mhm.
And that's exactly like you had a baby. Like
Yeah.
that's never just like, oh, a couple months and I'm done.
Yeah.
Like I'm recovered now. Like I had a concussion in June and was like, okay, I'm giving myself a month, and a month hit and I was like, I'm better now, right? I'm supposed to be better now. I was like, oh, 6 weeks out, and I was back in the ER, and I was like, I'm not
Oh
better. I'm
no.
supposed to be better now. Why am I not better? And then I had all these people telling me, no, was a severe concussion. Like, you're not supposed to be better yet. This like takes a while.
We put deadlines on our healing, right? And there you
Yeah, like I don't have time to be
healing.
sick. Like I
Yeah.
only have time to like fully get stuff done all the time and be totally my most productive self every moment of the day. I scheduled out sleep time and then didn't give myself half of what I scheduled. And then I expected myself to be top
Recover.
tier productive all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah, giving ourselves grace. And I think one of my favorite concepts is hold on to the dream, let go of the timeline.
Mm,
Because we get so caught up in like, I'm gonna do, and like deadlines, timelines are so good for goal setting so that you try, right? Because otherwise you're not gonna take massive action if you don't have that pressured
yeah.
timeline. But then when things don't turn out the way you expected, because so many things are out of our hands, we do, and then it's like leave it up to others or the universe or God to like, create that path. And we have to surrender to, okay, the timeline isn't what I thought it was. That doesn't mean it's not going to happen, right? Don't let go of the
Yes.
dream, let go of the timeline. Yeah.
Don't give up on it. Well, and how often are we setting goals that we can't control? Like my goal is to win that competition, or my goal is to like do something that I actually don't have any power over.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're like, that can't be your goal because you can't control it.
Your goal is to try, is to do what is in your power, right?
And like we get to define what success actually means to us.
Hmm.
And if we define success as something that's out of our hands, then we're deciding that we're not successful.
Yeah.
And that's
And there's,
heartbreaking because we
and
could
there's,
decide that we're successful.
it's just redefining success, right? And in so many different areas, like not just financially, not just in accomplishments, like, are you mentally feeling okay, right?
And motherhood,
Yeah. Are you
like,
physically healthy? Yeah. Are you present in your relationships and motherhood? Like, those are all signs of success, right?
mm-hmm. Do your kids come to you when they trip and get hurt because they look to you as their source of comfort? That's success as a
Mm.
parent. Not is your floor perfectly clean every single moment and your dishes always done every second, because nobody's dishes are always done. That means you're not eating, right?
Right?
Like there's you
Yeah.
get to decide and what success means, and if you're deciding that you're always failing, then you can change that
Yeah.
mindset. You have
But
power
I
over
was
that.
in that place, going back to your original question, I was in that place of feeling like I failed this year. And then I was going to this conference, Align, which had some major big name speakers at it. And I didn't know the host at all. I just started following her on Instagram. But I remembered something Tiamo had told us, our speaking coach, a story about how you just create opportunities. And he was at this conference and he was like, hey, just give me 5 minutes to get on stage and I'll just, like share a short story and a song. And they were like, okay. And then he went up there and killed it. And it was just like getting that exposure, right, in that 5 minutes. And so I was like, what if I ask her, like, hey, could I, like, just sing a song for everyone that's like inspirational? And I was like, she's probably like, who does this girl think she is? Right. And this was probably like a week and a half before this big conference that she's trying to host. And she's so gracious, so kind that she actually gave me the time of day instead of being like, sorry, it's too late. All of the plans have been made. Like, she could have been totally inflexible, right? Like, I don't have time for this crap. Who is this girl? But she was like, well, send me a video and let me hear it. So I gave the backstory of the song, which was like my little short, keynote inspirational story, which was a few minutes, and then I sang the song and I gave her the lyrics and she was like, sure, I could have you do it at the VIP dinner. and so it wouldn't be in front of the whole conference, but it was in front of like 100 or so people. And I was like, yes, thank you. And so this is Brooke Hemingway, and she does these Align concerts
I actually
Align
know who that is
conferences
too.
every January. And if you have not heard of it, you need to get to those conferences because it was amazing, so amazing, transformational for anyone who's on like a personal development journey. Get to Align; it's so worth it. And she's hosting another one this January. But that moment, like I was a total stranger, and she just gave me this moment to get up there and speak and sing, and it definitely benefited me more than anyone else. Maybe it was fun and inspiring and entertaining for other people, but for me, it was like this, okay, I can do this, right? Like, okay, here is a chance to break free. And what's funny is I haven't even focused on keynote concerts since then, since January, but I did start coaching with her. I signed up for her mastermind, and I'm really just dialing in on expanding my coaching business and getting consistent income. And that's how I launched group coaching. And I'm working on launching a retreat now, which is super exciting. So, keynote concerts are there still, but I
Well,
feel
and
like,
that
okay,
vision,
there's a
that
season for each thing that
right.
I'm going to
Well,
focus
and that
on.
vision is still there, and she now knows you for that.
Yeah,
Like now she knows like what your potential is and what you're capable of. And like that seed has been planted, not just in her mind, but in everybody who saw you's mind.
true. That's
That
true.
seed's been planted and it's like that that dream is there. That vision is there. It's not going away. Even though we work on other things, even though we're multi-passionate and other opportunities come up
Yeah.
and life is lifey. Like
Yes, life is lifey.
life is so lifey. That vision is there. That dream's not going away. It's being held
Yeah, and
for
I
you.
think remembering there's seasons, right? There's
Yes.
seasons, and it's like I haven't forgotten about it, and I don't feel discouraged. That's the difference now because I know I even have on my wall here, like this is my season for like really hustling on these certain things I'm working on. I have them listed here, and then it's like keynote concerts in my next season,
Yeah.
September, October, possibly.
Right.
To remind myself, like, oh, I haven't given up on it, but like, this is my season to focus on this, and then in my next season, I'll get back to starting to reach out to conferences and pitching and things like that. So,
All
you
right. And
know,
it's okay if you don't know the answer to this question, but I'm so curious if you know what your message is for your keynote concert.
my
I'm still
message.
working on mine, so just so you know. So if you're not,
How
I
do
totally
I don't
stand with
have
you.
my elevator pitch, but I would say my message in general in everything I do is hope. So in my music, in my songwriting, in my coaching, in my Instagram posts and stories, and in my keynote, it's always like about hope of that dream, and to not give up and to believe that those things you desire are possible, And so, yeah, keep hoping for better and keep striving for better. I guess
Yeah.
that's a general message.
I love that. What you want is meant for you. I
Yeah.
love that.
I have a
Mm.
song called Stay Delusional, and it's about like when all odds are against you and you're like, you know, part of the hook is, so I stay delusional, um, even though all signs, in my mind, it's still a yes, even though all signs point to no. So it's like I'm feeling like so discouraged and stuck
Mm.
right now. And I'm like, and I wrote this last year when I was in that place of like, I'm not reaching my goals. And it's like, no, it's going to happen. It's still going to happen. And you have to hold on to that vision, because it's a roller coaster. The entrepreneur roller coaster is real.
Oh, and I so know that feeling. I've had so many times, especially around music, because I feel like music's always had that place in my heart where it was like, you're just crazy, Carolee. Like holding, like, what?
Yes.
That's what you want? Because there's something around like entrepreneurship has always felt a little bit more within reach than the like being a singer felt. Like it always felt like the world was kind of like that's just a little too far, right? And so I
Yes.
always had this voice going, is that logical? You should just
Hmm.
give up on that one. It's not really logical.
Yeah.
Um and so like I wrote my song called Wait, where it was like, don't give up just yet, wait. And
Wait.
like I just love the power of music to just be like,
Yes.
stay delusional. Like it's waiting for you. Like that
Yeah.
dream's not out of reach. Just keep holding out that hope because
That's why I love the concept of keynote concerts because it made that dream more realistic. Like, I
well,
don't really want to be a rock star and be touring the world when I'm a mom, but I'm like, I can do keynote concerts and make money from my music, right? Like, there
and
is a way.
seeing somebody else do it
Yes,
like solidifies it in such an incredible way. Like having an example of somebody who does it, and then Tiamo, who's like, oh yeah, I go fly around the world once a month to
right?
go right to go live this dream, and you're like, oh, I could do that like once a
Yes.
month. Oh, that's like that's like reasonable. Like I could go
Yeah.
do that. I could be away from my kids once a
One
month.
keynote a
Like
month.
that seems like a
Yes.
thing I could really do. Like it is like once you have an example in
Yeah.
front of you of somebody doing that thing, you're like, that's like a real thing. And
But
so
the thing is,
often,
oh, so go ahead.
I
Sorry.
was gonna say, so often it feels like there's no one who's ever done this before, so it doesn't feel like
Mhm.
tangible. And then if you can just find somebody who just shows you the way, even a little bit, you're like,
Oh,
really?
yeah. And just expanding your mind that we're so narrowly seeing that there's only this one way to do it. Like a singer is Beyonce.
Right.
What are your chances of becoming Beyonce? Not very great. But there are so many musicians who are out there making a living off of their music in very different creative ways. And we're so
Right.
like tunnel vision. And so it's like, even if you don't know the how, don't let go of the vision, right? And always
Mm-mm.
you just have to take that next step of like, we are being called to music our whole lives. You and I have both been called to music. Why? We don't know, but you just keep creating and you just keep taking that step and you do those things that light you up, like you talked about earlier. What lights you up? You do that because it's leading you somewhere, even if you don't know what the end vision yet is. Because, 3 years ago, I didn't know what a keynote concert was. But I was working with a coach, and they were like, even though you love music, you don't always have to make money from the things that you love. And I'm like, that's true, but I feel like that's a cop out because a lot of people are doing that. So maybe there is a way. And then I found keynote
Yeah.
concerts, and I was like, oh, there is a way to make money from music that is realistic and not getting like, a penny for 10,000 streams or something, right?
Right. Well, and there was this concept that I just love that we often, especially in the music industry, we're like, okay, it's either Beyonce or bust. Like I'm either the most famous or I'm nothing and it's worthless and I may as well give up now. And it's like, oh, wait, there's a whole range of in between. Like I can enjoy my music career, I can enjoy my life, I can enjoy whatever it is I'm doing as it is and just
Yeah.
enjoy like what if there is a medium? What if there is a middle
Yes.
ground where I just love all of it now?
Yes.
Like there was, and it helps to look back and be like, wait a minute, 3 years ago, I didn't think that writing an album or releasing an album was even possible. I thought that was a pipe dream. I thought I never could have done that. And now I've
Yes.
done it.
You've done
And it's
it.
like, oh my gosh, like if you look at the past versions of yourself, like who you are now is a dream version of you from 5 years ago. We
Totally.
tend to only look ahead at what we haven't accomplished yet, but look at what you've accomplished now and appreciate that a little bit more.
Totally. There's a book called The Gap and the Gain, and he talks about the gap, and the gap is where we want to be versus where we are now. So we're always looking in that gap as ambitious women, multi-passionate women. We're always like, I want to do that thing, I want to do that thing, and why aren't I doing that yet? But you have to spend just as much time in the gain as the gap, and the gain is looking back at where you were compared to where you are now, and you're like, whoa, look at all that progress. Look how amazing I am. And that's how you stay in gratitude for where you're at. That's how you stay in confidence, in belief, instead of discouragement, right? Like spending time in the gain. Like, look at how far I've come, right?
I love that.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up, tell me what is lighting you up the most right now.
What is lighting me up the most is I had thought about putting writing an album, releasing an album on the back burner this year. And recently I spent some time working on a film with my family and just being around a lot of creative, artistic people. And I was like, I want to write that album now. That's not my back burner thing. So that is lighting me up because I already have some of those rhythms that I can write to, and I already have one song fully produced and mastered from last year that's going to go on this EP. So I'm excited about that. I am launching my own podcast um, called The Renaissance Achiever, and it is about being multi-passionate, similar to you. And so I'm excited about that. And I'm working on, in my group coaching program, working on um, the Renaissance Achiever experience. And it would be like 8 weeks of group coaching and then ending with an in person retreat in Hawaii, where I am from. And it's, to help multi passionate people really hone in on what is their top dream and priority in this season of life, and how to start taking action towards it and stop stalling and removing all of those barriers and stories that are keeping us stuck. And so I'm super excited about that. Yes.
That
All the things.
That's amazing. And that's so important for the multi-passionate because we have a lot of things that we
Yeah.
want to do. And we often get stuck like, well, I'm doing 20 things right now. And I feel like I'm not making any,
Yeah.
actual real progress towards any of them. And then how do I choose one to really pursue when I feel like I'm leaving part of myself behind if I let go of one or
Mm-hmm.
if I where I mean, especially for moms, where we're like, I can't let go of the kids. I kind of
Yeah.
wish I could get a little more help in that arena. How,
Yeah.
how do I do that a little more?
Yeah, so I think that's where it really helps to determine what is this the season for. And I have a process that I go through with my clients to help them realize what is most important to me right now. And then like taking aligned action and having that accountability to start moving towards that. And then it takes away the guilt of, but I'm not doing this, this, and this. I'm like, oh, because it's not the season for that right now, and that's okay. It's
Oh, I
still on
love
the
that.
vision, right? It's still on the dream, just like the keynote concerts for me right now. But right now, it's my season for this, right?
Yeah, and fully embracing that, like, yeah, maybe there's not enough hours in the day to do everything you wanted to do, live out every single dream today.
Yeah.
That's probably not going to happen all
Yes,
today,
it's not realistic.
but
We
you're
like to
gonna,
think it is. As people with ADHD, we're like, yes, or multi-passionate. We'd like to think that's
yeah.
possible, but it's not.
Right. But tomorrow, but like you have a whole amazing life ahead of you and you're not going anywhere. Like you're here and those dreams are waiting for you.
Yep.
But you can't truly live if you're not in this moment
Mhm.
appreciating the individual facets of who you are. And one of those is going to be, if you're a mom, like one of those is motherhood. And if you're
Yeah.
not enjoying like your kids at the age they are now, you're going to miss out on some of those things,
A
right?
hundred percent. Yeah.
And you want to spend some time in your day, like really being present for that. But like we also want to be present for the other parts of ourselves. And we're going to feel scattered and like we're missing out if we're not giving our full attention for, an hour or whatever to those parts, like to the
Yeah.
music. And for me, it's to, for you to teaching and for me to teaching makeup because that's what I'm diving into. And it's like, it doesn't have to take all of your time to do each of these things, but be fully present for what you are doing right now.
Totally. Totally. So my coach, Brooke Hemingway, she has 6 kids and runs multiple businesses and, hosts events and conferences and all these things. And she said she doesn't get overwhelmed and she doesn't have mom guilt because wherever she is, that's where she is. So she's always fully present where she is in that moment. And when I'm home with my kids. And when I'm working and coaching, I am present there. And so you're not trying to juggle both or be scattered. It's just like be in the moment. And then there's no, that lets go of the mom guilt because you were present. And because how many times are we there was a time where I was home, 24/7, not working on anything else, just stay at home mom. And I wasn't present with my kids because I didn't know how to be present. But now
How
I
to
can be
multitask.
more, now I can be, or I was just, tuned out, like, always overwhelmed, unhappy because I'm not doing things that light me up. I'm not filling my cup. I'm just like numbing out on Netflix and social media instead of like, oh, now I'm doing things that fill me and light me up and are giving me skills to be more present with my kids, to enjoy these moments, to be a better mom, right? And so it's just like, yeah, being where you are, right?
I love that. Like you can be multi-passionate
Mhm.
without always multitasking.
Yes, yes. Ooh, I love that. That's so
Yeah,
true.
it's I'm a chronic multitasker and it's really
Same
bad
girl,
because
same.
the more that we can just be fully present in whatever we're doing, the more that we really live our lives and can just more fully appreciate the thing we're doing now.
And there's just less. What I notice is for me, if I'm trying to multitask all the time, which I do struggle with as well, I will feel stressed and I will feel overwhelmed. But if I'm just
Yeah,
like, that's for later, I'm here now, chill out,
right.
okay, I can
Yeah.
enjoy the moment.
And then
Yeah.
I'll feel guilty for not like really putting my best foot into either thing where I'm split
Right, right,
halfway.
right.
Because like dinner's getting burnt while I'm trying to do the one thing and then the other
I
thing
think
and
that's
then
motherhood though. Like motherhood
yeah,
requires multitasking
it
and women are
does.
good at that. And, but like mentally, if you're just like all in your head about whatever you're worried about or planning to do next, that's when it gets really, I think the mental multitasking is the part that's
Oh
really
yeah.
that
Well,
takes
and
you
it
away.
comes back to your seasons. Like there's a season for each thing, and that could be a season in your day. Like
Yes, so
there's a
true, right? The
season in
time
your day.
blocking.
Time blocking. It's so good.
Yeah.
Oh, this has been amazing. Thank you. Thank you for coming. I
Thank
just
you.
love talking to you. Tell us where everyone can find you and follow you and come join all your group programs and
So
see your music or listen to your
yes.
music.
Okay. Oh, so many things, but I guess that's why we are multi-passionate. So, so you can find my music. My former artist name is Sarah B Band, Sarah with a H, B as in boy band. I have a couple albums out under that, and then my new solo artist name is Queen Rah, Rah, and I just have two singles out with that, but more to come. And then the easiest way to find me is Instagram. I'm on there a lot. It's Sarah Sarah Fui Fui coaching. And I give information about my groups that I'm launching and my podcast that I will soon be launching. All of that can be found on Instagram.
Awesome. I'm so excited for everything you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was so fun to reconnect. We gotta get together again soon.
I know, definitely. Bye.
Bye.
Everyone be quiet. Teacher, I'm sorry. Teacher, I'm sorry. I should have treated you better. Treated you better. Showered you with gifts. And we could thank you later. Thank you later. Now I see I was blind from all that free time. So I'm begging you, please, just tell me one thing. When is school back in? I'm already over summer. Well, it might be a sin, but I need a break from these precious kids. Please don't get me wrong, this is a love song. But when it's school back in, when it's school back in. Teacher, I'm sorry. Teacher, I'm sorry. But I don't know how you did it. I don't know how you did it. Gave them new things to do. Gave them new things to do. 'Cause here they're bored in a minute. You better clean your room. If you wanna go to the pool. But now they're begging me, please, don't look under the bed. When it's school back in. I'm already over summer. Well, it might be a sin, but I need a break from these precious kids. children, but mom needs a nap, and school time was mommy's time out.
I need a timeout.
When it's school back in, I'm already over summer. Well, it might be a sin, but I need a break from these precious kids. Please don't get me wrong, this is a love song. But when it's school back in, well, when it's school back in, when it's school back in, but when it's school back in.
Is it back yet? Is it time yet? Please. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Multi-Passionate Mama Podcast. I know that we can never be told too many times how amazing we are, so in case you haven't been told today, you are a freaking rock star. When you let yourself shine, you allow other people to take off their filters and shine brightly too. It's about time someone gave you permission to be all of you. If you enjoyed this show, please leave me a review and hit that subscribe button. I know you want more of this. Sharing is caring. Let someone you love know how incredible they are by texting them the link to this episode. They will feel so good just knowing that you thought about them. Lastly, if you want to know more about my courses and coaching, be sure to check out my website for up-to-date details on everything I have available. It's caroleegarrison.com and the link is in the show notes. Always remember that you are a diamond. Don't let anyone dim your sparkle.